Brajajannaranjana Yashodanandana Brajajannaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Sham Sundara Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Jaya Jagannath Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Gaurnitai Jaya Gaurnitai Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Gurudev Jaya Gurudev Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Sutara Shatasri A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrind ki jai Ramacharya Chilaridas Thakur ki jai प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा गिरिधर भगवान की जय श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा मैया की जय श्री श्री गौर निताय की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल all glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories to the feet of Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga all glories to Srila Prabhupada all glories to Srila Gurudev Hare Krishna. Welcome everybody. We will continue to read from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we are in the chapter, a lot of ground to be covered. Continuing. 20 devotees from the West had just arrived in Surat, as had an American photographer, John Greaser, on assignment for Asia magazine. John went out every day to shoot the Kirtan processions, and as he did, he felt himself becoming caught up in something much greater than a mere photo assignment. The people of Surat, who considered themselves Krishna Bhaktas at heart, saw Prabhupada as a great saint, and they also saw his disciples, in whom they found the true Vaishnav qualities as saints too. The devotees' dress, behavior, and way of life showed pure bhakti yoga, and their kirtan was genuine worship of the holy name. By honoring the Lord's devotees, the people of Surat knew they were honoring Lord Krishna himself. Devotion to Krishna was the heart of their own culture, yet they had never expressed it to such a degree as now. After several days of Kirtan processions, the mayor of Surat, Mr. Vaikuntha Shastri, closed all schools and proclaimed a holiday throughout the city. Everyone was now free to celebrate the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and chant Hare Krishna. Signs throughout the city read in Gujarati, "Welcome to the American and European devotees of Krishna, and welcome to the members of the Hare Krishna movement." The devotees felt tired and blissful as they resumed to Mr. Jariwala's home. Returned to Mr. Jariwala's home, and Prabhupada was waiting for them. As soon as they saw him, they all bowed down. Chidananda quotes, Prabhupada was at the foot of the stairs greeting us. We were in complete bliss with flower garlands all over us, big smiles on our faces. We were very happy that we had been so well received. It was as if Prabhupada was standing there saying, just see how wonderful this Krishna consciousness is. Just see how happy you are. He was standing there smiling. He was so happy that we were happy. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prabhupada Vinamrita ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Naishtiki Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam Yasmin Parahamsyam Ekam Amalam Jnanam Param Giyate Tatra Jnana Viraga Bhakti Sahitam Naishkarmyamavishkritam Tachrinvan Supathan Vicharana Paro Bhaktya Vimuchye Naraha Bhaktya Vimuchye Naraha Bhaktya Vimuchye Naraha. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Today we will be reading from Canto 5, Chapter 12, Text 15. Now we're going to converses with Chanabharat. Just do my screen sharing. Yep, right towards. So this is Sarvasya Chaham. Samam Smritir Mrega Deha Pivira Krishna Rachana Prabhavano Jahati Atho Aham Janasangada Sango Vishankamano Vivritas Charami Samam Smritir Mrega Dehe Apivira Krishna Rachana Prabhavano Jahati Atho Aham Janasangada Sango Vishankamano Avrivritas Charami. Okay. Somebody would like to recite?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I am trying.
Yes.
Shamam Sritirmrigadehe Pibiraha Krishnarjana Prabhavano Johati Atoham Janasangada Sango Asango विशङ्कमानो बिभृतश्चरामि. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Yes.
Shamam Shitirmrigo Devi Viro Krishnarchana Prabhavano Javati Atho Aham Janasangata Sango Vishankamano Brivitascharami. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. I am also trying. Samang smritir mriga dehe api vira Krishnarchana prabhavano jahati Atho aham jana sangada sango Vishankamano abhibritscharami. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So look at the synonyms. Sa, that. Mam, me. Me. Smritihi, remembrance of the activities of my previous life. Mriga dehe, in the body of a deer. Api, although. Veera, O great hero. Krishna Archana Prabhava, which appeared because of the influence of sincere service to Krishna. No Jahati, did not leave. Atho, therefore. Aham, I. Jana Sangat, from the association of ordinary men. Asangaha, completely detached. Vishankamanaha, being afraid. Avivritaha, unobserved by others. Charami, I go here and there. Somebody would like to read the translation?
Yes, Prabhu, I can read.
Thank you.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. My dear heroic king, due to my past sincere service to the Lord, I could remember everything of my past life, even while in the body of a deer. Because I am aware of the fall down in my past life, I always keep myself separate from the association of ordinary men. Being afraid of their bad materialistic association, I wander alone unnoticed by others. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. And somebody would like to read the purport? Short purport.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I am reading the purport.
Thank you, Prabhu.
In Bhagavad Gita 2.40, it is said, Swalpamopi asya dharmasya. It is certainly a great fault to go from human life to animal life. But in case of Bharat Maharaj or any devotee, devotional service to the Lord never goes in vain. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 8.6, Yam yam vapi smarana bhavam tejoti ante kalevaram. At the time of death, by nature's law, the mind is absorbed in certain type of thinking. This may lead one to animal life, yet for a devotee there is no loss. Even though Bharat Maharaj received the body of a deer, he did not forget his position. Consequently, in the body of a deer, he was very careful to remember the cause of his downfall. As a result, he was given a chance to be born in a family of pure Brahmanas. Thus, his service to the Lord never went in vain. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. Just read the translation again. My dear heroic king, due to my past sincere service to the Lord, I could remember everything of my past life, even while in the body of a deer. Because I'm aware of the fall down in my past life, I always keep myself separate from the association of ordinary men. Being afraid of their bad materialistic association, I wander alone, unnoticed by others. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmithamina Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gauravakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So in this verse, Jada Bharat is continuing to instruct and to give Maharaj Raghuguna his wonderful association. Of course, this is a short chapter, and we see how he started this whole conversation, and he's slowly moving towards describing the details of his own life to explain how he had the kind of a fall down, but then how he resurrected, or he was aware of that fall down. He became fully aware, and he took active steps to ensure it doesn't happen again. So this is a very, very important lesson for any seriously practicing devotee, and we'll look at some of the points a bit later. So here he starts off this particular verse by saying there are a few points here in this translation or in this verse. So first he says, "Sa mam smriti mriga dehe." So we understand that when we leave one body and take another body, we don't remember anything of the past life. What to talk about when we supposing somebody glides down from a human body to an animal body, obviously there is no remembrance whatsoever. But in this case, Jadabharat is saying that he had smriti. He had smriti of what? Of Mrigadehe. Smriti of his past life. Now, how is that possible? Ordinarily, it is not possible. It cannot be. So he says, I could remember everything of my past life as Mrigadehe. I had the smriti. Why? This word is very important, or these two words. Krishna Archana Prabhava. Krishna Archan ka Prabhav. So the effect of Krishna Archan. So Prabhupada writes here, because of the influence of sincere service to Krishna. So Archana, in one way we can say worship. It could also mean service, performing sincere devotional service to Krishna. So Krishna Archana Prabhava. Because of my sincerity in devotional service to Lord Krishna, he gave me the memory, the smriti, to remember my previous birth as Mrigadeha. So because of him, I could remember. Now, why remembering the past life was so important for Jada Bharat is the next part of the verse. So then he says, because he remembers, he understands that it was a fall down. It was a bit of a disaster. Almost when somebody comes very close to being successful or winning or achieving the result, and suddenly he falls from that position. He goes further away from success. It is usually considered a failure. That on the verge of being successful, this person became a failure. So as we all know, Bharat Maharaj, he was almost there, just one stage short of perfection. So he's just like, the last bit remaining. And even at that stage, which is not ordinary, which is not that anybody can achieve it, it needs a lot of sincere devotional service with the right consciousness to even reach that stage. So at that stage, after reaching that stage, he had this fall down. So he has been given this memory so that he can reflect on it, that what actually went wrong. And the reflection should help him come up with his current plan of action so that it doesn't recur, it doesn't happen again. So because he remembered what happened in his past life and the problems or the issues that came up which led to his not achieving the desired result, he now in this life as Jada Bharat, he has taken some decisions, some voluntary decisions he has taken so that he doesn't fall into that trap again. And what is that? What is the decision he took? So here in the third line is mentioned, Atho aham jana sangat asango. So what did he do? Jana sanga. So he deliberately, completely avoided the association of materialistic men. So Jana Sangha means ordinary, materialistic people. And Asango means to not associate. Sangha means association. Asangha means not associate. So he deliberately took it upon himself as a firm decision that he will not associate with worldly minded people. In fact, Prabhupada writes in the translation, bad materialistic people. So he took that decision. And then along with that, what did he do? Vishankamano. Vishankamano means he felt very afraid. So he was always alert. So sometimes we feel that, fear is in principle not good. But some transcendental fear is good. Why? Why is that good? Because transcendental fear always keeps us alert. Otherwise, we become complacent. Arey, theek hai. Krishna will protect his devotee. Why I have to be so worried and get onto the nitty-gritties? I can just relax a little bit. So over a few years, when we start doing devotional service, we can get complacent. And that complacency becomes a huge stumbling block in our own progress, which we don't even realize. So we should always be alert. So this fear of what? Fear not that something is going to be taken away from me. That is material fear. But the fear here in this case is that I should not get deviated again. Deviated from what? Deviated from my devotional service, my spiritual activities. One good thing you have to understand in Jada Bharat's case or example is that although Jada Bharat had a kind of a fall down from that exalted stage, if we were in his position, in Jada Bharat's position, and we attained the stage of Bhav, we would have been like, I'm sorted now. What's one more step and I've reached perfection, back to Godhead, life sorted. That's what we would feel. Now, from that stage, when we fall down, what the first reaction that will come to us is, why did Krishna allow me to fall down? Why didn't he do something? Why didn't he give me that deer? Why did he allow me to get attracted to that deer? Why did the deer had to come here only and die and give birth to that baby? So many questions would have come in our mind. Is it not? And we would somehow or the other find hundreds of excuses to push the blame back to Krishna. That I was doing so much. And actually, if you think about it, Bharat Maharaj was doing so much, right? He was taking on so much austerity. He left his kingdom. He was in the right consciousness. He was doing everything correctly. And then this deer issue happened. So if we were in his place, we would have been thinking that Krishna, it's your fault. Because of you made me deviate. So it is your fault. You could have done it, but you didn't. So we would conveniently put the blame on Krishna. Now, what did Jada Bharat do? He took complete responsibility for the fall down. Because in that position, when he was Maharaj Bharat, he did not think of that as a fall down. He was slowly getting attached. But what he didn't realize when he was getting attached to the deer, getting attached to something material for non-spiritual purposes or non-devotional purpose is useless. It's temporary. And that attachment leads to unnecessary miseries. So the attachment to the deer is one thing. But because of that attachment, what happened is his attachment to devotional service became slack. His sincerity and his continuity of devotional service became slack. That was the big problem. Being attached to the deer was one problem, but that's not a big problem. The bigger problem is because of that attachment, his devotional service suffered. And that is something we should always keep in mind. And we'll be talking a little bit more in that regard further down, which I'll emphasize a bit more. But this is a very, very important point. What am I doing? And how is it affecting my devotional service? This question should always be in our minds. And we should always be fearful that I hope this does not affect my spiritual life. I hope this does not affect my devotional service. That fear is very good. And that fear should always be there. Why? Because that fear will always keep us alert. Just like in this life, Jada Bharat, he voluntarily took on that fearfulness that he should not get deviated again. So here he says, Vishanka Mano. Now, because he was fearful, what did he do? First, he didn't associate with any worldly minded people. And second, what did he do? Avivritas, Charami. So he was just behaving like Jad. That's why his name is Jad Bharat. He's like very low consciousness, very outwardly appearing like a fool, like a madman who doesn't know the etiquettes, how to live in this world, how to behave, how to talk. He's completely out of this world. So he behaved like a Jad from outside so that people don't disturb him and he doesn't get attracted or attached unnecessarily. So this is very important. So Vivritas Charami. And in this consciousness of not associating with worldly minded people and by not being in the forefront and doing something to attract people's attention, without doing any such activities, he was moving all over. Why moving all over? Because when we stay continuously in one place, we become attached. So we know the injunction of how sannyasis are not supposed to stay in one place for a long time because naturally the mind gets attached to wherever we are. So this is very important. So basically three things. One is he had Jada Bharat because of his sincere devotional service to Krishna in his past birth was given the smriti to remember his Mrigadehe because of Krishna Archana Prabhava. And then as a result of remembering that, he took some decisions. And there were two decisions. One is Jana Sangha Asango, give up association of Jana Sangha. And Vishanka Mano, he was always fearful that he should not fall again. And as a result, he Vibritas Charami. He was wandering all over without coming into the notice of others. Now, from Jada Bharat's life, again, as we just were discussing, that he apparently had a fall down. So from a human body, he got an animal body. So that is definitely a fall down. But he also had his memory. His consciousness did not fall. His body, so the evolution from a bodily perspective, it appeared like a fall. But from a consciousness perspective, from a remembrance perspective, remembrance of Krishna, he did not have a fall down. We have to be very careful in this. Consciousness never has a fall down. And that is what Krishna always protects. When Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that Name Bhakta Pranashyati, Kaunteya Pratijanihi, Name Bhakta Pranashyati. Sometimes people think that the Krishna is always protecting his devotees. So why is devotee suffering? Why is devotee having disease? Why is devotee dying? So it is not that Krishna protects only the body. Krishna is protecting the devotee's consciousness. Body is temporary. It will come, it will go. And frankly speaking, we don't need another body. This body is actually a problem because it is holding us back. There is gross body and subtle body. It is actually holding us back to move towards Krishna. So actually it's an impediment. So why should Krishna protect an impediment? It's not logical, right? Why will Krishna protect? So Krishna does not protect the impediment. In fact, Krishna wants the impediment to go away. But what Krishna protects is the consciousness. So Jada Bharat's consciousness was protected by Krishna. That never had a fall down. So here Prabhupada in the purport, first thing he writes that again, a guarantee. There are many guarantee verses in Bhagavad Gita. One is that Kaunte Pratijanihi, Name Bhakta Pranashyati, and 240 is another guarantee verse, where Krishna says that Prabhupada writes here, Swalpam Alpasya Dharmasya, Trayate Mahato Bhayat. That even a small endeavor in the path of devotional service will protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. So this is very, very, very important. So Krishna is protecting us from fear. That fear is the material fear, not the fear where we can become complacent, or not. The fear should be that we should not become complacent. But the fear should not be whether I'll be able to survive, whether I'll get some food, whether my needs will be met or not. That the devotee is not worried, because he knows he has 100% confidence in Krishna, 100% faith in Krishna. And because of having that faith, that confidence, and the intent to sincerely perform devotional service, Krishna will protect the consciousness of the devotee. So that's why in this path, there is no loss or diminution. And any small advancement can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Nehabhi kramanashvasti pratyavayo na vidyate. Swalpasya, little bit, even little bit, not complete, not perfection, even a little bit. Swalpasya, alpasya dharmasya, trayate mahato bhayat. A small endeavor can protect us from the biggest fear. So how assuring and reassuring this verse is. When we go through ups and downs in our own lives sometimes and problems come, these verses are like lighthouses. So this Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam is not just for ritualistic reading. These verses, they actually speak to us. And you'll find sometimes when you read, some verses, they appeal and they just enter our heart. Is it not? Sometimes, you read the verse, you read the translation, maybe even if you don't go to the purport, just the translation sometimes feels as if, oh my God, it's just like Krishna is telling me personally, because I'm going through this problem in my life, this is the answer to that problem. I'm getting so much solace from this instruction. I'm getting so much inspiration to continue and to go through this challenge, and I get the ability to respond and react appropriately to this challenge. Now, how powerful this can be, how empowering this can be. So this is the greatness of Srimad Bhagavatam. It empowers us to not only lead nicely this life, but simultaneously develop attachment to the path of devotional service. So this is the first thing Prabhupada writes here. And then Prabhupada writes towards the end that consequently, in the body of a deer, he was very careful to remember the cause of his downfall, which we just discussed. He always remembered. So if we have done some mistake, we should not forget it, but we should not become overly attached to it or become too afraid about it. But we should remember it. Why? So that we don't do it again. It's a mistake. Then Prabhupada writes that as a result, he was given a chance to be born in a family of very pure Vaishnavas or Brahmanas. Thus, his service to the Lord never went in vain. So this is what Krishna protects. And well, for Jad Bharat, sometimes we might feel that when he was as Maharaj Bharat, he had good association. And as a result of his association, he eventually gave up his kingly duties, and then he went to the forest. Now, in the forest, did he have good association? He didn't have any association, except for the remembrance of the association or the remembrance of the instructions. And there, of course, not that he had the association of a deer, he became attached to the deer. And there was no other association there. So Prabhupada further in another purport writes that if he had the association of his guru, he might not have had a fall down, even in the forest, because his guru would have prompted him to become serious and not spend too much time thinking and taking care of the deer so much. So there are many aspects. Now, that particular lack of association was something that Maharaj Bharat, when he gave up his life and he had the remembrance, he was aware. So what did he do? In the next birth, when he got the body of a deer, his consciousness was well protected. And he knew that this is the result of my taking this body of a deer and missing the mark. So what did he do? He deliberately stayed in close to the hermitage of sages. Why? So that he can constantly hear Krishna Katha. He can constantly see the yagyas they perform. He can constantly smell the nice fragrances that is part of their sacrifice or part of their worship. And all his senses are completely engaged in the service of the Lord, which he did in the body of a deer. And in this birth, as Jada Bharat, he didn't want to take any chance. No chance. Although he was completely cautious in this birth, he didn't want to take any chance. So he behaved like a Jad and he avoided any association so far. And if Maharaj Rahuguna would not have chastised him, maybe Jada Bharat might not have even given these instructions. So in one way, Maharaj Rahuguna's chastisement became the source of unraveling these jewels from the mouth of Jada Bharat, his own realizations, his own experiences, and his own instructions to Maharaj Rahuguna. So in a similar way, when we come across devotees, especially senior devotees who are very sincerely practicing Krishna consciousness, some of them may not be very talkative, or they may not interact much with us. They are in their own, they are doing their own bhajan, they are doing their own devotional service in their own way. But whenever we get an opportunity, we should inquire. Tadvidhi pranipatena. We should inquire submissively and try to learn from their experience. So one thing is to learn by constantly getting hit by Maya. And another thing is to learn from somebody else's experience, which is the more intelligent way to learn. So hearing from senior devotees and enabling them to share their experiences makes our learning faster, gives us their experience, and inspires us to progress in spiritual life. And that is the true understanding or nature of association. This word is very, very, very important. We always say sadhu sangha, sarva shastre goy, lovo matra sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi hoy. That yes, we should take association of sadhu. But we have to be very careful. What are we doing when we are associating with a sadhu? If we are talking just about money and games and other things, not that we cannot talk about that. It's not that, oh, if I see, I cannot think anything, talk anything. We always exchange pleasantries and talk a few things here and there. But after the initial discussions here and there, the focus should come towards devotional service. Somehow or the other, the conversation should move towards Krishna. Now, what happens is, when we are talking to, usually, not with everybody, but usually, is when we get this process of devotional service, we start reading, we are practicing, we are very enthusiastic to share this knowledge, and we meet new people, we do that. We exchange pleasantries, oh, how are you, how are things, this, that, and finally, somehow we find we are looking for opportunities. How I can somehow or the other introduce some topic of Krishna consciousness. At least let me talk about vegetarianism. At least let me talk about temple, if not the philosophy. Is it not? We are always looking for opportunities. What? To get them to discuss about Krishna. If we don't do that, what's going to happen? It will be, the whole discussion will be around mundane topics. And we've had enough. We don't want to waste time to discuss mundane topics with people. But when it comes to devotee, because we know this devotee is already aware of Krishna consciousness, he knows the philosophy, he's practicing it, I'm practicing it. So what is there to talk about Krishna? So let's talk about something else. It's a natural way that comes out. Oh, how are things? Oh, then the whole conversation is more about other aspects. And then Krishna consciousness takes a back seat. So we should also have that same conversation here. And when we are meeting, there are three types of devotees or association that Prabhupada talks about in Bhagavatam. It is there in Canto 4, where when we meet with somebody senior, we should ask them questions and get their association. Learn from them, learn from their experience. They are there to inspire us. We should get inspired by them. And when we meet somebody equal, we talk to them as friends on an equal platform and still help and inspire each other. And when we meet somebody who is new to the process, who is very inquisitive to know more about Krishna consciousness, we should give them our association. Whatever little bit we know, we nicely try and share with them, make it relevant for them, and give them association. So either we are taking association or we are giving association. That is a constant, ongoing process. So we find that there is a nice verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, where it is said that Sarvo Mahagun Gon Vaishnav Shurire Krishna Bhakti Krishnero Gun Shakoli Sanchare. What does that mean? That a Vaishnava, he develops all transcendental good qualities. Mahagun, he develops all the qualities. How? Krishna Bhakti Krishnero Gun. By engaging in Krishna Bhakti and by getting all the transcendental qualities of Krishna, by engaging in Krishna Bhakti as a default process, what happens? Shakoli Sanchare. So all these good qualities slowly start coming and taking shelter in the devotee. So the more we are able to develop those good qualities, develop more compassion, reach out to more people, have the inclination to share Krishna consciousness, have the enthusiasm always. Utsaha Nishchaya Dhairyat. Are we having Utsaha? Are we having Nishchaya? Are we very firm, Nishchaya? And are we patient? And specifically when we are systematically doing any preaching program, Bhakti Vriksha or a Namahat or whatever we may be doing, when we are engaged in that process, we are constantly giving and taking association, is it not? On our own, sometimes we have to be very focused and we may miss. Every day is not the same. Some days we do more, sometimes less. But when we are on a regularly preaching level, we have to do it. Otherwise, we can't preach effectively. So this becomes very, very important. And it is said that in terms of learning, if we really want to learn the philosophy, learn the techniques of spiritual life, not that we don't know, everybody is a practicing devotee here, but we always have to up our standards. We have to make things better. Every Janmashtami, what extra am I doing? Every Kartik, what extra can I do now for Krishna? That should be constantly our endeavor. Can I make things better? Can I do things better? Can I improve my sadhana? Many things. So it is said that, when we are reading something, we only learn 10%. When we hear something, we learn 20% of what we are hearing. When we see something, we learn 30%. When we are teaching or explaining something, we learn 70%. But when we are actually doing or associating with people who do, we learn 90 to 100%. So the best form of learning happens through association. And that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu emphasizes the word sadhu sangha. But sometimes we have to be very careful to utilize the sadhu sangha. Sometimes we just waste it. We don't take right advantage of the sadhu sangha. We have to understand it is very, very, very valuable. Just because we are easily getting sadhu sangha doesn't mean that we take it very cheaply. We should be very, very careful. When we get sadhu sangha, make the most of it. And so what happens? What happens actually in a sadhu sangha? It is very, very, very important. Why is it important? In Bhagavatam, there are many instances where the right sangha has changed somebody for the better. And there are also examples where the wrong sangha has completely corrupted or deviated somebody. Anybody, any examples of both? A good sadhu sangha, a good sangha and a bad sangha from Bhagavatam?
Ajamil,
Ajamil, good or bad?
bad.
Obviously bad. He was a Brahmana and he became completely corrupted. Yes.
Mrigari by Narad
Brigari,
Muni,
yeah.
by Narad Muni when he had
Yes, yes, Brigari. So Brigari was good or bad?
good
Good association.
Narad Muni.
Valmiki Muni, yeah.
Yes, yes, Valmiki also, correct, exactly. So we see that it is not what somebody is currently, but it is who that person is associating with. That is very important. See, we may not have all the good qualities and we may have some desire to make our life better, but we are stuck. But when we associate with somebody, we are on a fast track for change. So we have to understand that in association, what actually happens? The main thing that happens is only one. What are we doing when we're associating with somebody? Of course, for betterment, for progressing. So we associate with people who are much more sincere than us, much more devoted than us, much more committed, much senior to us. Not that we don't associate with others, but this type of association is very important. We spend more time so that we are able to assimilate. So what actually happens in association? Yes, we hear Krishna Katha. Yes, we do chanting. Yes, we do kirtan. But actually, if I come to a very practical perspective, what actually happens in an association? The right association. What happens?
We
So
get
if I-
mercy.
Sorry, Madhuri?
We get mercy.
We get mercy, yes. So when we get mercy, what is the result? Like,
We cleanse our heart. It's
okay,
cleansing.
what happens if our heart is cleaned?
Another thing, Prabhuji, another thing happens that where we have the opportunity of asking our problems to get, they give a solution to our problems, which we are facing in our day-to-day life.
Correct.
Certain things that are either obstructing our spiritual advancement or we are slow in not advancing much. So with their instructions, when they give the instruction, they make the things clear. And from their experience, we can learn and we can advance quickly.
Yeah. So it helps us respond or react to the challenges we are facing in our life based on their experience. Yes, definitely. Very good. Absolutely. But a very, very fundamental thing happens in association, which is actually happening. It is happening to all of us, but we are not conscious.
Material detachment.
You're close, but more specific. Something very, very fundamental is happening without which we cannot progress even 1%. Fundamental. And it is something that if we contemplate, it is happening. Even now as we speak, it is happening.
We
But
get
we are not
knowledge and
aware.
association.
Sorry, bro.
We get knowledge and association.
Yeah, that's what my question is. What happens in that association? Yes, we get knowledge, but we are getting knowledge everywhere. Even in association, we get knowledge. But what is happening?
We are going to closer to Krishna.
How? We are temporarily going. Then once we finish, again we are back to our normal. When we are hearing Bhagavatam, Yes, we are close to Krishna, no doubt. But after Bhagavatam class finishes, what happens? We are back.
There's, Prabhu, I think there is a transformation of our heart.
Yes. And just you've caught it. There is just one step before that. You're absolutely right. Transformation of heart. But before transformation happens, we have to do something.
We have to
Without
change.
that doing, transformation will not happen.
We have to reform ourselves
Yes. How?
Transfer of desires.
in engaging
Thank you. Who said that? Raghavendra Prabhu. Thank you very much. I would like to give him a big hand. So association means only one thing. Only one thing. And what is that one thing? Transformation of our desires. We are in this material world. Why? Because of our desire to enjoy. So if we want to transform our lives, we have to change our desire. Desire will not go away. But we have to tell ourselves what I want to desire. And why is that so important? Because desire is the only thing that I have and nobody can take it away from me. Even Krishna does not interfere in my desire. He gives me the free hand. Whatever I want to desire, Krishna will not interfere. And nobody can take it away from me. Now, I have my desires today, but when I'm associating with a devotee, I understand what are his desires, what are his plans, what was his desires, what did he do to fulfill those desires, and where has he come currently, and what are his plans, and how he wants to achieve perfection of his life by changing his desires, by evolving his desires. So when we hear about that, it has a very, very deep impact on our desires. And that is what we call inspiration. What is inspiration? Inspiration doesn't mean suddenly from my heart something comes out. No, inspiration is simply transformation of my desires. I had little bit of desire to do devotional service or chant nicely, but because of associating with this devotee, my desire from here has gone up this much. So instead of putting my desire somewhere else, I have transferred most of my desire to this to say, well, I just need to do whatever I need to do, but my focus, I want to give more time and I want to follow this process that this devotee has advised me or instructed me to do, and that's going to be my desire. So transformation of desire is the primary aspect of associating with devotees. And a byproduct of that desire, we call it desire management. That as a result, byproduct of that, what happens? We get inspiration to intensify our devotional service. That's a byproduct. And another byproduct of that is we start inculcating good habits. Getting up early in the morning, sleeping early, not having late nights, simple things. We just, we are anyway having a restricted diet and a restricted lifestyle as far as the world outside is concerned. But even amongst devotees, if we see that somebody is very disciplined and it's a discipline that I can easily adopt, our desire to take on that discipline is very important. So we want to make that desire. And that's where our habits change. We feel inspired to do more, and we are constantly looking at transforming our desires. So association is nothing but desire management. And that's exactly what Jada Bharat is explaining through his own experience, through his own understanding in this particular verse, where he got to know the problem, and now this is how he has changed his desire not to associate with worldly people and just to wander all about unnoticed, so that he doesn't become attached, and he's attached to worldly things, but remains fully attached to sincere devotional service. And that's how ultimately he achieved perfection. And a very easy way that Prabhupada has given us is by giving us this whole movement, this this avenue where we can associate with devotees in the temple, in programs, in namahats, in bhakti vrikshas. And constantly, whenever we are interacting with devotees, whether formally or informally, all that is happening. If you just be conscious from now, all that's happening is desire transfer is happening. I'm inspiring somebody and transferring my desires, and they are, of course, it's up to them whether they accept it or not, but we are transferring our desires. And when we are associating with somebody senior, we are having that conversation, and they are transferring their desires, and we are managing our own desires as a result of that. We take in what we feel is good for my own spiritual progress, and then we start practicing into it. So next time we are associating with devotees, you have to understand what desire am I changing, which is going to help me in my own devotional service. And that is the sum and substance of this whole chapter. Next verse even emphasizes that in more detail. Tomorrow's speaker will perhaps highlight that. But that's just one thing to take away, is good association prevents us from Janasanga and also prevents us from any fall down that may happen as a result of our own deviations in this path of bhakti. So stay focused by being in the right association, and then we'll be safe. And Krishna will protect our consciousness in all circumstances. Jad Bharat ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Thank you very much. I'll open it now for questions, comments, or additions. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much for the very nice class, and particularly the very essence of this verse, that we have to transformation our desires. That is the ultimate goal we should try to do by our association with the devotees, and particularly those who are in a higher status of their devotional life. And you have mentioned a few points. First of all, that the devotional service is the endeavor one gives in devotional service, as is given in this verse, that is never wasted. Although King Bharat has to take the body of a deer, but his consciousness remained, because devotional service is never gets deteriorated, nor it get lost. So that is mentioned. And the other thing is that you have told about the alertness we should have, the fear of from falling down from devotional service, or that we remain focused always. And that is the alertness we should have, or the fear we should have, as against the material fear. Material fear means losing our material things, which the devotees are not interested actually. But although we are affected often, but the devotees are not interested about the loss of material things. In any way, the body will go one day. But we should be very alert, as Jara Bharat was in this life in particular. He was very careful, and he was aware of, or he was very alert what happened to him in the previous life, and he taken extra care to see that he never get mixed with this materially contaminated people, and he fell down from his position of higher devotional status. So this life he remained focused and did his devotional service, avoiding the material people, and got the opportunity through King Rahuguna to speak about this devotional service. In this way, he was able to give association to King Rahuguna, and this is a lesson for us, and to transform ourselves by associating with people with higher consciousness. And so that is what is my my takeaway from today's class. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hey, Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dharma Pranam.
Prabhu.
Thank you for making this verse so interesting for so many different angles. Prabhu, I really like your point about that Jad Bharat's consciousness was protected, not his body. So sometimes we see devotees are getting very sick or have cancer or something, and we say, oh, what has happened? But by your explanation, it's very apparent that the body is going to go. Krishna doesn't want us to devotee to suffer like this, but their consciousness is protected according to the bhakti. It's such a nice point. Another point really struck me this in this life. Jat Bharadari, of course, avoided the materialistic association, but he had an option to associate with a positive association, but he completely avoided. So how should we look at it? You know, sometimes it happens that devotee has some issue with a temple or some other devotees, and they just bloop, they go away, and they don't want to associate. So in this case, we see Judge Brad, because of his previous bad experience, he just avoided materialistic people, but he could have avoided, he could have associated with good people. So maybe how should we look at it? Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, very good point, Prabhu. It is a very relevant example. So Jada Bharat, sometimes we feel that because he wanted to avoid fall downs, he was on his own and he was wandering all alone. So there's a difference. Jada Bharat was not dissociating with people because he was fed up of the world, fed up of somebody or angry with somebody, and he wanted to run away. No, he was fully conscious. He was always remembering Krishna. He was fully Krishna conscious. And so he didn't want other distractions to upset that consciousness. So he was on his own. So this is not something we should imitate. Oh, Jada Bharat was like this, so no. In fact, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, Nirjan Bhajan is not for a Vaishnav. Tumi kishe Vaishnav. We should always be in association of devotees. Even if we have some problems with some devotee or management or whatever it is. See, everybody has got at least 1, 2, or 3 devotees in their life, whether senior or same or whatever it is, who they can, who they are close to, who they can confide. Guhyam akhyati prachati, bhungte bhojayate chaiva, shadvidam priti lakshanam. I mean, if we do not have any devotees with whom we have got 6 loving exchanges, then we should do something about it. It is like very sad. That's all I can say. I'm pretty sure everybody has. So when we are having problems, rather than keeping it to ourselves and lamenting and just complaining, we should open our heart and discuss, and preferably with somebody senior, somebody more mature, who can give us the right perspective. Let us face it, the process Prabhupada has given us is perfect. The destination is assured. But while going there could be some challenges because of our own anarthas. So if we don't have the right guidance from the senior devotees around us, whose only intention is to ensure we make spiritual progress. So if we don't have that association, then what can I say? We are completely at a loss, even though we are engaging in bhakti. So at least we should make use of that association, and we pray to Krishna that somehow my mind is, very agitated. Please help me and engage me more in your service so I can understand things in a better perspective. Even if I can't completely understand, let me react and respond to that situation. Not react, but respond to the situation and continue to be on that path so I don't get deviated from my destination. So that way the association is important both ways. Even when things are going well, even when things are not going well, we need association in all respects. So we must take advantage of it. And there are so many nice senior devotees in Auckland, so many mature devotees here. We have to and they are ready to help. Nobody is interested in unnecessary things. They are only here to help people. If they can help, they will go out of their way to help. And I personally have experienced it. It is not just book knowledge. So we just have to approach and see. And a lot of miracles happen. And sometimes, even if it doesn't happen straight away, we just have patience. Utsaha, Nishchaya, Dhairya. We need to have Dhairya. And eventually, when we look back, we think, oh my God, Krishna had a plan. And then we appreciate even more. And when such challenges come in future, we are better equipped to deal with it. So hopefully, Prabhu, that gives some perspective.
Thank you for the explanation. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? All good. Thank you very much. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad
Jai.
Bhagavatam ki jai,
Jai.
Om Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol.
Teach
Vancha
Precious Krishna
Vancha
Prabhu ki
kalpatarubhyascha
jai. Vancha
Vancha
kalpatarubhyascha
kalpatarubhyascha
kripa
kripa
sindhuvaya
sindhuvaya
patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namo nanda koti Vaishnava
Nanda
Vrinda.
Koti
Vaishnava
Vaishnava
ki
ki
jai.
jai.
So much.
Jai Shri
All
Krishna
the
Prabhupada
Vaishnavas,
ki
Hare Krishna.
jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.